Peace and blessings. Once again, this is Born Love the God addressing this issue with George Zimmerman. This is ridiculous. Where are the sons and daughters of true blackness? No way does this man kill an African American youth, innocent youth, who was where he was supposed to be at justifiably by way of his First Amendment and his Fourth Amendment. His privatized rights were violated by George Zimmerman. He didn't have to expound to George Zimmerman and tell George Zimmerman nothing about him being where he was at because he was legally there. There was no justifying what took place. Now, this man had to commandeer his weapon, give it to these people. Then he was able to get his weapon back after being found not guilty. This was a conspiracy above most people's heads because most people don't realize that George Zimmerman was legally overcharged intentionally by the district attorney's office in Florida. And while his lawyers didn't catch it, I don't have a clue. But the problem is this. George Zimmerman's father is a well-renowned Supreme Court judge in another state, and it is atrocious what he got away with and what he is able to continue to do nowadays. First of all, George Zimmerman was supposed to be charged with negligent homicide and voluntary manslaughter because the criteria of the elements fit the criteria of the crime, and he could not only being opinionated to be found guilty, it would have been the jury's obligation to find him guilty because he had called 911 and he had told the 911 dispatcher about Trayvon Martin being on this privatized premises and that he was going to pursue him after being told by the 911 dispatcher that that was not an advised state and that he should not do it in his private capacity as a citizen because it wasn't his job. He was to remain where he was at and wait for 911 to intervene. Now, he did what was done in Texas a few years ago that most people may not have knowledge of. But there was a guy in Texas whose neighbor's house was getting robbed by two Mexican guys, and the white guy in question, who didn't even know his neighbors, said to the 911 dispatcher out in Florida, I can't let these guys go and get away with this. I'm going to pursue it. And he killed both of these men, and he beat it in a court of law. Now, this is what George Zimmerman was going on the premise of when he decided to go against everything that the 911 dispatcher was talking about and engage in a hostile manner with Trayvon Martin, an innocent black youth. Now, all this Black Lives Matters and everything else, we are not on the course where we need to be at. And we gave this man all the necessities he needed in order to get away with it. Now he's in our face saying that he gonna sell the gun and get $250,000. Do you know how sadistic it is for somebody on the other side of this auction to buy the gun for $250,000? Do you know what they saying to us as a people? I mean, we better get it together. And this is because we got these rappers out here talking all this nonsense that only thing it does is devalue us as a people. So who gonna put you on a pedestal when you putting yourself in the gutter? It's time for revolution. Ain't no way in the world that dude supposed to be out there running around doing all that, man. $250,000 for a gun he killed the black kid with, and somebody's on the other side of that auction buying it. Somebody purchased it for $250,000. Do you know what they telling us as a people? Yo, my movement is called the Black Guards and Black Urban Society. Get with me. Get with me. Get an economic core going. Stop valuing and everything else is going on. Divest in everything we can do for ourselves. Get our own furnitures going. I'm talking about selling you the best of everything. I'm talking about making sure we got the best levers again, where we can get back and we can put men like Dapper Dan back on to make our own thugs. Get away from these sucker dudes, man, and this homo facilitated who gonna dress us cold thing, man. We don't need nobody dressing us no more. We dress ourselves, man. We get our own designers to create our own kind of apparel that we like to buy, and we spend our money amongst ourselves, man, and get out of everybody's pocket, man. We're being overly exploited here, man. Get away from the economic exploitation of a people, man, and get back to the fundamentals, man. We need men like Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, man, one of the world's renowned physicists, man. Dr. S. James Gates, man, one of the greatest mathematicians on the planet, man. Without being back into learning that calculus, physics, knowing their constitutional rights. First of all, only 5% of all our people in the United States of America know the Constitution. That means if it's 2 million African American people, only 100,000 of those 2 million people will know the Constitution in its entirety. And without knowing your rights, man, you can't exercise your rights. And that's why all this ignorance that's going on the radio with this rap shit is blowing our minds, because we can't stand in front of law enforcement and justify what's going on. They killed Eric Garner right in our face over a cigarette. And the officer can't even tell you who he was arresting Eric Garner for selling the cigarette to. You said you arrested for selling cigarettes. Only thing you got to do is ask the officer, and this was never asked by none of our political conscious people, who did Eric Garner sell a cigarette to that prompted his arrest? Because under the Fourth Amendment, you have a right to resist or to generally to protest illegal arrest or unlawful detainment, even by a law enforcement agent. Now, the problem here is that cigarettes are legally exchangeable between adult parties at any time, because legal cigarettes are legally possessible. They are legally possessible and able to be exchanged as gratuities amongst each other. Money can be exchanged as gratuities amongst each other. Once Eric Garner told that law enforcement agent, when that law enforcement agent told Eric Garner, I'm arresting you for selling cigarettes, he said, who was I selling a cigarette to? I wasn't selling cigarettes. When that man could not give you a name of a person that Eric Garner was selling a cigarette to substantiate the allegation of an arrest, then the arrest became unlawful. There was no way he can arrest him, because once Eric Garner said, I wasn't selling cigarettes, his word was his bond, and he could not be disproven. Even if he saw him give a man a cigarette and the man give him money, and if he had both of them in question and he asked both of them, I just saw you sell him a cigarette, and both of them said, that's not what happened. I gave him money for something, but it wasn't for the cigarette. And Eric Garner said, I gave him a cigarette, but that ain't why he gave me the money. Their word was their bond. It was a private transaction with two legal entities. Cigarettes is legally exchangeable. Money is legally exchangeable. If they say that that wasn't what was happening, there's nobody on the planet to make it otherwise. There's nothing in the law that gives anybody a right to make it other than what both of them parties just said. But when we don't understand how we supposed to congregate within the law and know the premise of the Constitution, ask yourself, how many constitutional amendments are there? And when you know that you don't know, remember that majority of the African American community don't know. That means that 5% of us know and 95% of us don't. That means every million of us, only 50,000 know what's going on with the Constitution. It can't be like that. And then we got these ignorant dudes on the radio telling us like they know what they talking about, leading us into a life of crime, which takes us away from being able to legally purchase and protect ourselves with firearms. That's the main reason that they want us to be criminals in the first place. That's the main reason that the whole conspiracy theory was to back the NWA plight to ignorance, was because they don't want the African American community to have the legal right to go into and purchase firearms legally, because firearms are legally possessible. And you can legally own firearms. The only thing that negates that is if you was to have a criminal record. And that ain't even that ain't even all the way true if you really, really know the law. You can never lose your constitutional rights. You just got to know what's going on. But we ain't got enough soldiers online to teach, and we too busy listening to 50 Cent. 50 Cent went on a record. Let's look at who we call 50 Cent is the perfect Barabbas to us as a people. He's the perfect example of what we talking about when we talk about black consciousness. We got this man on a pedestal for selling us nothing but mental poison on every record he ever made. Now, he's got a TV show where he ain't doing nothing but being a drug dealer, selling us more poison on with everything that he ever touched is about soliciting the mind towards deviant behavior so that we can't fundamentally stand on a foundation that's about something. When we ain't up on Neil deGrasse Tyson, when you don't know that light travels at a rate of 186,000 miles per second, I'm going to show you why I'm saying that. Let's talk about the wormhole effect. That's being able to take distance and shorten distance between time and space. Now, light travels at a rate of 186,000 miles per second, right? It takes light 8 minutes and 20 seconds to reach the surface of our planet. Now, on our planet, there's the lowest place on our planet below sea level is Death Valley in California. The highest level above sea level is over in Mount Everest, which is in Tibet, which is 24,941 feet high. Now, to know that is to say, well, if light travels at a rate of 186,000 miles per second, how fast can light travel or what is the distance of light traveling in 1 light year, which is 6 trillion miles approximately. This is very important because when you don't know time, space, and the continuums, you get caught up in what I call these mental time machines. Like people being able to tell you anything and keep your head in the book. That was my problem with Bambaataa from the beginning. And that's what I call in the nation of gods and earth, we call it 35, 50 years of becoming a Muslim son to your own self. This is becoming the Masons and the rest of these little secret fraternal orders that can't even tell the people what's going on. The nation of gods and earth, the gods and earths are the only ones that ever gave out the knowledge freely to the people and stayed amongst the people. We never asked you for 1 red cent in our conception since 1964, which is 52 years. But the time is coming to whereas we're going to have to become the economic paramount of the black community because we're the only ones that got the true knowledge and the only ones that's going to give it out to the people the right way. We're the only ones that's going to protect this black community the way the black community needs to be protected. We need to align ourselves with that Second Amendment. That's why they keep on running us in the crime game, because once you get a felony, they can be able to tell you, oh, you can't go purchase a firearm legally. So now you can't legally possess a tool, an instrument of protection. And a weapon is only as dangerous as the man who pulling the trigger. It ain't dangerous just to put in the possession. It is a tool of protection. And you got this man running around killing a black youth, made $250,000 off the gun, and y'all can't even exercise your right to bear arms, and then we gonna keep on crying about the white man. It ain't the white man no more. It's the black man killing us off, man. We, instead of buying storefronts, we got our kids in front of the storefronts soliciting their drugs and then poisoning down our people and making these zombies. You got all these walking dead amongst us, man. We made these motherfucking crippling effects, man. We don't need nobody's economic exploitation, man. Step off the money. Once you start putting the people above the money, like Malcolm said, by any means necessary, when you stop worrying about their money and worrying about trying to assimilate yourself with their shit, it don't change the structure of the world that's around you that much. You still, and if you don't do nothing else, save us a Burger King right there. If you don't do nothing else with nothing else in time, everything that's happening right now to you right now, wherever it's happening on the earth, is still happening right now. It don't change the continuum. It just gives you an alleviation tool to take you out of the equation. Step outside of the box and stop being exploited by this economic structure. Every time we do something, they buy it off and then they kill the brand. On Fubu, Kyle Kanan, they ran Dapper Dan up out of there. Think about it. Fat Farm, Darion. They bought Fat Farm. They bought Baby Fat. They bought the House of Darion. They bought everything from Jay-Z and Rockaware. And now let's look at it. Since these people purchased these particular clothing lines from us as a people, we don't wear it. We don't desire it because their desire ability is subliminal to the mind to make you want to be around all the wrong things. Who is the general? Come on, let's be honest. Who are the first family of social media? It's the Kardashians. Come on, that is the first family of social media right now. Is the Kardashian family. And they crazy as a motherfucker. We better get it together and get away from all this madness, man. They gonna drive us crazier than we already is, man. And we ain't gonna get no sanctitude or solitude, man. And somebody need to get at George Zimmerman ass, man, as legal as they can, or, you know, because I'm just going to protect myself so I don't have to go down. But you know what I'm really saying, and I'm saying it in a good way. You know what I'm saying? But that motherfucker's the most trifling motherfucker around us, man. That is a true Aryan nationistic, sadistic motherfucker who pretentiously looking at it, probably had the mental mindset that he was going to kill that young man as soon as he spotted him. That he was going to set up a situation where he can do whatever he needed to do and be able to kill Trayvon Martin and legally get away with it. His father's a judge, man. This man is, come on. Let's get it together, family, man. Remember, the Black God and Black Earth Society, man. We here. Let's build by ourselves. Get away from everybody else. We don't need Bob to discount no more with his little furniture. Let's get our own furniture back on deck, man. We need builders, man. And we don't need builders emulating everything whitey do, man. We got to get away from all that, what white people do. That's why we do it the way we do it, because what white people driving us crazy as it is, man. And I ain't trying to be racist. It's just we need some space so we can do it the way we need to do it to heal ourselves, man. You know what I'm saying? So with that, I say peace, man. But keep in mind, man, let's get rid of that George Zimmerman dude, man. That's a snake, a piece of shit. Peace.